I'm Stephen Wood, and we're here today, and I'm here with my lovely wife Janet, and we're pastoring a church in Warminster called Foundation Christian Fellowship. A number of years ago we left the army, and just before we left the army, God showed us that he had a work for us to do, to start a church here in Warminster, which we established here in 1986, so that's 26 years ago nearly now. And we've been renting buildings, and we've been growing, and we've been blessing people, and people have blessed us. And then about 4 years ago now, God showed me while I was praying one day this building, which had previously been used as a children's play area. And as I was praying, God said to me, "Carpe diem, seize the day." So I came down here and found it was for lease. We've now got a lease on this property for 2 years, and we're going to purchase it in February of 2013. And God is blessing us, and he's blessed us with so much grace that the building is called Grace Christian Centre.
We called it the Grace Christian Centre because I believe that's what God showed us to call it, but not just to be a church, because it's a centre where the grace of God can flow out to people like we were 30 years ago, who needed so much of the grace of God. When we were both physically and spiritually sick when we came to Warminster all those years ago. And the Christian Revival Centre, which was originally in the assembly rooms, which we finally rented for 10 years, that was what got us saved. And that was the grace centre that we walked into and received so much of the grace of God. And it's on our hearts, and so grateful to the Lord for what he's done in our lives and saved us from sickness and bondage and all these things. Amen. And now we want to do the same thing here, to let the grace of God flow out from us to the people around us now. Because I believe, we received so much here in Warminster, and I believe that's why God's put us here, back in Warminster, because this is where it happened for us. And there are so many soldiers and their wives up there on the army camp that it could still do the same thing for again. But also the civilians that are brought in here. So many of the army people leave the army and stay in Warminster, like us.
And we're in a lovely position here as well. We're the principal unit, the first unit on an industrial estate here, where there's car repairs and glass repairers and all sorts of things, and food places, everything. And God has already shown us that we're going to have an outreach into the people who work on this industrial estate. And across the road is a school with a couple of thousand pupils, and we even have some of the pupils occasionally come across for a cup of tea and whatever at break time and join us. And just behind the school, around the school, is quite a large estate. And we're believing God that he's got a ministry for us when we get fully settled in here, to reach out to those people. And right next door to this industrial estate is an army barracks. Unfortunately, there's hardly any soldiers there at the moment because they're all in Afghanistan. And we're believing God that the rest of them are coming back safe. And we're going to be able to reach out to those as well. And it's exciting times. And God is doing some stuff in the lives of the people in Warminster. And we get testimonies every week of people who've been blessed by doing what God's told them to do. Financially, emotionally, family-wise, every way. God has done some good things in their lives.
I can only say it's been the most exciting time I've had in my life. It's been the hardest time, I think, the most challenging time I've ever had. Every range of emotion you can think of, we've experienced it in the last 2 years. The Lord's been gracious. He gave me a vision of the colours, and it's as long as you stick to the vision, it's easy, really. You don't have to worry about what to do because God's already shown you. Sourcing the material has been a challenge, but it's been an exciting challenge because you do find them eventually. Seek and you will find. The chairs are a great testimony, really. When we were in the assembly rooms, they had some damaged chairs which they wanted to sell, and we were able to purchase 90 of them for £5 a chair because some of them were sun damaged. And at the time we didn't have the building, but we knew we were going to have one, so we thought, well, it was too good a chance to miss. So we were able to store them there and have them when we needed them. So we did, and we were thinking about what colours to cover them because we knew we'd have to cover them. And then finally we got this building. So we had an army of volunteers would come down here of an evening, and we would have fellowship, taking chairs apart, and one would be making the tea, another would be taking all the staples out, and many people had blisters and arm aching, but everybody could do that. Nobody was limited by their lack of skills. And it took weeks and weeks and weeks, and we had piles of bits here and piles of bits there. And in the meantime, Stephen was on the computer trying to find the right material. And the Lord had already shown me the vision of this light mauve carpet, and that the aubergine was the colour for the chairs. The sample came through. I said, that's it. And we were able to purchase the material all in great big roll. And it worked out at £5 a chair, so we got the chairs covered for £10. The chair complete for £10.
Yeah, that's right.
We're now in the process of trying to find some more chairs. Well, we found some more. But this will require some more financial outlay, because we really don't think we can put the people through taking the chairs apart again. They did such a wonderful job, but it was hard work, and we appreciate every hour they've spent.
We're looking at this building, and there are areas that aren't finished yet. You can see they're glaringly obvious. We've yet to finish them, and we're working flat out to do it. The finances aren't always there to do it, but what we've got is a bunch of people who are prepared in the church to do anything they can to help us achieve it. And you know, to have people here sometimes at 10 o'clock at night when we were flat out doing it is absolutely amazing, and people giving up their time just to finish off the job is incredible. Some of the people have said, you know, it's nice to sit here thinking, I painted that bit, I scraped the muck off the floor over there, and things like that, and they know they've had a part of it. It's their building, yes. And it is good when people come in. We had a gentleman who's in his 70s join us for the very first time on Wednesday evening, and before we'd even started the evening, he said to me, do you know, when I walked in this building, I felt really warm. He said, I'm not talking about temperature. A lot of people have said it doesn't look as empty as they thought it was going to look, with the same number of people in a bigger space. I don't know how that works, but it just does look nice. And we've got space yet to move. We've got room for more things to come into the building. We've got some more chairs to get yet.
And if anybody's got a grand piano, the Lord showed me the vision of a baby grand piano in that corner over there.
It's just nice to know that we can walk in on a Sunday morning and just switch the lights on and the heaters if we need to, and just have church.
What's touched me more than anything, I think, is the sacrifice that people will make to sow the seeds who want to harvest, and they've sown the seeds into this work. And the people in our church have been so faithful and so loyal. We're not very big church at all, but to have achieved this within a congregation the size it is a miracle in itself. But it's not just as being the congregation, it's been sowing and planting into friends' lives, and you realise the value of friendship. And then you don't realise when you're sowing seeds into people's lives as your friends, that when you need something, then you have got something for them to draw on from them, and they want to be a part of it. And I think that's what I value more than anything, is the friendships we've made in the last 30-odd years since Stephen became a Christian. It's been, and these friends are, you know, they really are Christian friends.
Yes.
Are friends for life. You know, we're going to spend eternity together as well, but the wonderful part is that you can have a little bit of eternity down here if you really care for your friends, as Jesus said. You know, Jesus said, I call you my friend. And Jesus was the first friend that we know as a Christian. And I just want to say thank you and value how much we value the friendships we've made in the body of Christ. Especially the ones within our church. We aren't just the pastor, we're their friends as well.
We've also made friends outside of the church. We're partners with several ministries, and we help other ministries to achieve their aims by sowing into their lives. And we know that when we've been sowing and sowing and sowing, it doesn't seem to be doing anything. When we look at this building, we're starting to realise we are reaping the harvest of the stuff that we have sown into other people's lives and into the lives of ministries who help other people. And so we're just grateful for any opportunity to sow, because we do believe in sow. Seed time and harvest shall not cease. And we continue to believe that.
Going through the process of redoing this building up has really taught me the lesson about seed time and harvest in Genesis, that it will never fail, because way back, how many years ago was it you got that revelation of sowing the seed?
That has to be a good 12, 15 years ago.
Yeah. We believe in God for £1 million, because we sowed some seeds out of our own finances when Stephen left the army, and we believed God for a building cash paid, our home cash paid, and a vehicle cash paid. And we sowed those seeds out of our gratuity when we left the army. And then later on, about 12 years ago, the Lord showed Stephen one morning, you don't have to believe me for the £1 million, you need to believe me for the seed that will bring in the million. And so he shared it with the church at 10:30 that morning. And by 1:30, we had the cheque in our hand for £10,000 to sow as a seed, because somebody in our church had on their heart, God had put it on their heart to provide us with the seed. He provides seed for the sower. And that's another thing that I now know is so true. And it was no hardship. We prayed to see where we would send the seed and plant it into good ground, and we were shown the ministry to sow it into, and we did. And now we're reaping the harvest, and we know there's more to come. This building, in February, we have to find £400,000 to purchase this. Now, God is faithful, he's no man's debtor.
That's right.
And we're believing, and we've already received, by faith, that finance is done. And I can see the paid in full sign, when it's stamped by the owner and it's handed over to us. And that's the exciting part of walking by faith, because Daddy God is so faithful. He really is faithful.
Well, for those who are listening to this and watching this, they might not even be aware of who's taking these shots and recording this. This is David and Jan Green, who look after Carrot Tops, a hostel in India for handicapped children, which I have visited twice now. And the Lord showed us about 12 or 15 years ago now that he wanted us to take an offering every month for Carrot Tops, and we've been doing that faithfully ever since. And the people are very scriptural about it, because when they've got some extra money, they put it aside until the day comes. And if we have to move Carrot Tops because we have a guest speaker or something, we move it a week or something, people get quite upset about it. I've got my money, I want to give it now. And we're just delighted to be able to support Carrot Tops, which is still helping children who are suffering from the effects of polio. Because although there's no more polio in India, new cases, we've still got children from years ago who contracted it when they were babies. And thank God that will be gone soon. But in the meantime, we're just delighted to be able to be a part of what's going on there. And the people in the church are happy and completely happy to give into the ministry that's going to help other people. We love it. Thank you both.
And bless you. Thank you for all you do. It's such an encouragement to the children out there. It really is. And
our children love it. They really like doing things. They make cards at Christmas and they sell them to the people in the church, and the proceeds go to Carrot Tops. When the people come in for tea and coffee before church on a Sunday, there's a little dish there that my granddaughter, who serves the teas and coffee, says, if you want to donate anything for your tea and coffee, it's going to Carrot Tops. So they collect for Carrot Tops every Sunday.
Yeah, we love it.
We're so grateful too for the amazing tricycles that you raised the money for through other contacts that you had through the Rotary.
Yeah.
That's been great too, and that's just brought such a blessing. It really has. But the other thing, your granddaughter also was very silent over things to do with Carrot Tops. Tell us about that.
Oh yes, when she had a silent, my granddaughter Hayley had a sponsored silence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
unheard
amazing.
Of.
Because she can talk for England, and she's a lovely girl who loves to communicate.
Yes.
And she loves talking to people, and she worked behind the bar at one of the local hotels. And so for her to be silent when she's normally speaking to the customers was an absolute challenge. But she did it, and she raised £600.
Amazing.
But that meant all the people in the pub knew all about Carrot Tops as well.